Hi guys, this is GSMDome.com and I'm here with the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge for a full review. So this is the curved edge flagship, the curved edge version of the Samsung Galaxy S7 from 2016. I called the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus the Bugatti Veyron last year, and this time the Galaxy S7 Edge has got to be the Bugatti Chiron. Well, close to that. Anyway, just so you know, we're testing the Exynos version of the phone, and this product was announced at the Mobile World Congress 2016 and it started shipping to all the customers last week as far as we know. So people also got it with a bundle VR headset, but we're not here to cover that. Instead, we're here to cover the actual handset. So it's priced at between $750 and $800 in USA, and while the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge was superb, the Galaxy S7 Edge manages to be better. It's less slippery than the predecessor. At first sight and at first use I felt it was slippery, but then again I got used to it because it has a slightly protruding metal frame that allows you to grip it better. And I must mention that this device has glass at the front, glass at the back, and this is glass with curved edges. It's called 3D glass by Samsung, and it has Gorilla Glass protection, and as you can see we got curved edges here at the front and also slightly curved edges at the back, reminding me of the styling of the Galaxy Note 5. And these curved bezels, oh well, they also serve a purpose for the software, but you'll see that later on. This feels like a more refined design than the one of the predecessor because the top part is a bit more rounded now, and so is the bottom part if you really look closely. We have rounded corners, and there's even less metal than before if you can believe it. Now the thickness here is 7.7 millimeters, which is 0.2 millimeters slimmer than the Galaxy S7 regular version. It's also 0.7 millimeters thicker than the Galaxy S6 Edge, so yes, it's thicker, but at the same time it's more beautiful. It weighs 157 grams, which is 5 grams more than the Galaxy S7 regular version and 4 grams more than the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Basically, it hits the sweet spot between the S6 Edge and S6 Edge Plus. I have to mention that the backside is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, but if you really take care of it, maybe use a case and clean it often, you won't have any problem. This is 3D glass and the phone is resilient to water and dust within the IP68 certification, so well, that's back from the times of the Galaxy S5. Basically, you can sink it in up to 1.5 meters of water up to 30 minutes, and that's pretty much it. The phone is available in black, gold, white and silver. We have the gold version, and now the camera bulge is smaller than on the predecessor, which is good news. So the best design of 2016 so far of all the phones we've tested, and now let's proceed to the hardware. And hardware means display first. So this one is a 5.5 inch Quad HD screen with a Super AMOLED panel and dual curved edges on the sides. We don't have a video app to show you, we have the gallery working as a video app. And let's play a video for you. We have the usual test video here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, so in spite of the fact we're using the gallery, we also have pop-up play still available. We also have pinch to zoom. And now some things we found regarding this beautiful screen. The fact that we have curved edges make it feel like the image is never ending, like it goes on, up and down, makes it look very fluid. Other than that, it's a very bright screen, and the colors are also very vivid but not oversaturated, which is a good thing. So we have wide viewing angles, as you can well see for yourself, and the blacks are deep. We have a perfect contrast, and in full sunlight the screen will have absolutely no problem. And here we're dealing with pixels that have this setup, is the Pentile Matrix diamond shape. Then we proceed to the light measurements. We use the lux meter here and a powerful light source and achieved 892 lux units, which is fantastic even compared to the Galaxy S6 Edge that got to 933 lux units. I'm sure that in the summer sun we can reach much more, and indoors we got to a top 581 lux. Still, we're doing very fine. So we beat the S6 Edge Plus and we beat the iPhones, so the screen is very bright. And now we also have some special settings for this same screen. We can go to the display area and we have font, screen timeout, smart stay, and a new feature, it's called always on display. And just like the name says, the screen will be always on. You can show the clock, calendar, or an image, or even a special background image which you can select from here, and you can download more stuff from the store. So this is the always on thing. This thing that appears here, you can see notifications, battery level, the clock, the date, and that's pretty much it. Basically, it should drain about 1% of your battery per every hour, give or take 0.2%. Okay, and what it does is that it shows stuff without turning on the whole screen, and even if the screen is in standby. We missed some settings, so let's see those. We also have night clock and screen mode, which includes adaptive display, which adapts to various situations and colors and apps. AMOLED cinema oversaturate, AMOLED photo more realistic, and basic, probably the blandest of them all, but some people prefer bland colors. LED indicator, keep screen turned off, and those are all the display options. And now it's time to address the core aspect of the phone, the edges. So the edge features can be divided into, first, edge panels. So these edge panels are the ones triggered like this. They're sort of mini home screens which can show you various tools, app shortcuts, tasks, People Edge, Yahoo News, and once again the quick tools. Of course, you can do selections with all those things. And the novelty here compared to the predecessor, the Galaxy S6 Edge, is the fact that this area is double the width of the predecessor, so you have double space for those icons and features. Now let's analyze the functions. So this thing here includes the context, the People Edge, then we have this area for Yahoo News, then we have the quick tools, which can include flashlight, a ruler, and this compass. Then we have the apps edge, which speaks for itself, and then the tasks, which are very interesting. You are allowed to take a selfie straight from here, search a contact, open a new tab, create a task. So basically do something. You're being proactive with this area. And you can add even more of those mini home screen, as I said. Some of them have to do with stock quotations, American football scores or basketball scores. We also have internet shortcuts, calendars, weather, and you can add all of them. You can even download more, some of them for money, like this one here that costs €1.37. And then you can do some setup regarding the position of the edge, right side or left side if you want. You can set up the transparency and the size, small, medium or large, and you can also move it to an area that better suits your needs. Okay, so that's the first aspect of the edge, its actual usage. And then we get to other things. We got edge feeds. So basically you do something like this, you swipe this area, and then you can see notifications if you have any, and then you should be able to see news, the steps you take, your favorite themes, sports teams, stocks, and other things like that on the edges, just like we saw on the previous models. Okay, making it start, and you can access the info straight from there. Of course, you also have features for those edge screen, cancel, and edge feeds. Those are the ones I showed you before. As you can see, they display the pedometer, scores for basketball teams, Yahoo stocks, and more news. And you also have a timeout period here. And then let's see what else we have. We have something called edge lighting. You know it from the previous versions of the edge models. You put the phone like this, and it will light up on a certain color if you're getting a call, a mail, or a text from a certain contact associated to a certain color. Improvements from last year, well, of course we get double the space for this mini home screen, so that's an improvement. But other than that, I have to say, I find it hard to believe that people actually use this feature, but anyway, it's there. Now, as far as the hardware is concerned, we continue with the CPU, which in this case is a Exynos 8890 processor. It's an octa-core unit with 4 cores of the M1 kind, clocked at 2.6 GHz, and 4 cores of the Cortex A53 kind, clocked at 1.6 GHz. In other parts of the world, people get this phone with the Snapdragon 820 in US, China, and Japan, but once again we have the Exynos. And the GPU here is the Mali T880 MP12, It's excellent for running games. We ran Oddworld, Munch's Odyssey, we played Riptide GP2, and I'm very confident to tell you that you should be able to run any games and you'll be future-proof for about 2 years or maybe 3 with top-notch graphics. So you can go crazy, download any game you want, set the graphics all the way up to maximum level and enjoy them with absolutely zero lag, zero problems. Even if the game is a shooter, a soccer game, racing game or other things like that. Okay, obviously we have no lag here and a high performance of functioning. We also get 4 GB of RAM, LPDDR4 and 32 or 64 GB of storage plus the microSD card slot, which is right here next to the Nano SIM one, and this is an improvement because the Galaxy S6 Edge did not have one. So the performance is pretty much great, and we also did a series of benchmarks to confirm that. You have them all here. Suffice to say that we have excellent results, and this model is first placed in Antutu, and during all of our tests, here we go, we got the Antutu result right here. This is the older Antutu and this is the newer one, and from all the models we tested so far, this is number 1 in Antutu, number 1 in Quadrant, and in the new Antutu it's number 2 after the iPhone 6s Plus. In Velamo it's number 1, and in 3D Mark it's also number 1, beating all the other phones we've tested recently. It can run any game, and if you're wondering about the temperature, it does not overheat, which is as usual good news. So after 15 minutes of the game Riptide GP2, we achieved a temperature of 34 degrees Celsius, so no overheating. And then we get to the acoustics. We have this singular speaker right here at the bottom, and there's no more music player. You remember Samsung had that green icon for the music player. Well, you can download it separately, but I'm going to have to rely on the Google Play Music application, and the music sounds something like this. Okay, you get the gist of it, and of course you also have the tweaks, and by tweaks I mean the equalizer. We have quite a few options here. The equalizer remains from Samsung and includes options related to musical genres. We have the advanced section with 7 sliders. We have an upscaler to increase the sound resolution of the music, surround options, Tube Amp Pro, concert hall. We have these knobs for extra bass, treble, instrument and vocal, and Tube Amp Pro and all that. But the actual experience, well, the sound is quite loud and clear, the bass is great, all the notes are heard perfectly, and it's basically perfect. It can cover a conversation and it feels above the iPhone models. We also did a decibel meter test, and we achieved 84.4 decibels at this speaker, which feels like more in real life. We beat the iPhone 6s Plus, but scored below the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. At least we also beat the Huawei Mate 8, for example. Now the headphones, well, nothing has changed. They're the same as last year, the ones we saw with the Galaxy Note 5, Galaxy S6 Edge Plus and Galaxy S6, if I remember correctly. They sit well in the ear, they're comfy, they have a flat wire, excellent bass, the volume is loud but not huge, it doesn't bother you, so that's good. Perfect isolation, and once again very comfy. And as far as I saw, there's no FM radio on this model. Okay, time to get to the goods, and the camera is handled right now. So the Galaxy S6 Edge and the S6 Edge Plus had a 16 megapixel camera, and this one has a 12 megapixel camera. There are 2 versions of the cam as far as we've learned, and we have the model with a Samsung sensor, while some people got the model with a Sony camera at the back. We have the Samsung one, but still it has dual pixel technology, which means that you can find the same tech on photo cameras like DSLRs. What dual pixel does is that each pixel has 2 photodiodes that can be read independently during focusing, but also together. We also get optical image stabilization, f1.7 aperture, which is excellent for handsets, and the same aperture is available for the front camera, which is a 5 megapixel shooter. And we also have 1.4 micron pixels for the back camera and a single LED flash. The camera app opens up reasonably fast, I would say. Let's close everything down and use the other mode to trigger the camera, this one. Double press the home button and the camera is triggered. The interface hasn't changed very much from the phones from last year, and we have pretty much the same options, and those include a bunch of effects which you can apply. We have HDR, we have the timer, we also have the resolution, obviously 12 megapixel tops, and then the settings. You can shoot video up to 4K, also 60 frames per second, but the core feature here are the modes. We have auto, pro, selective focus, panorama, video collage, live broadcast, slow motion, virtual shot, food, and hyperlapse, with hyperlapse being the only real novelty. That is basically a time-lapse. It's a cinematic video time-lapse with improved stabilization and selectable speed. In the Pro mode, we also have access to the shutter speed that can go from the 24,000 part of a second up to 10 seconds, exactly like we got on the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, so not much has evolved here. So let's get back to the camera and select auto and get back to the settings, because I want to show you this feature. It's called motion photo. You know those Apple live photos we took on the iPhone 6s? Well, basically the same thing. A 3-second video is taken before taking a picture, and you can see it on the device. Other than that, we can do raw capture, of course in the Pro mode, and that's pretty much it. The actual camera experience involves a fluid zoom, fast picture taking, and ultra fast focusing. Okay, it's time to go to the gallery. As usual, we have exaggerated with the number of photos we've taken. We've easily surpassed 300 shots. So we have 3 collections of photos. We have some during sunlight, some during a cloudy day, and some at night. So I'm going to start off with those taken during the sunny day. Let's first find them. I'm going to cycle through them and give you a rundown of what we're getting. Try not to make this very long. So the first close-ups, well, they're basically DSLR level, I have to admit it, but generally there's a bit of quality loss when zooming in. This is a cherry blossom. Zoomed in, we're seriously losing quality, and because of the sun we also register some burn on the edges of the pictures, which is not good news. Generally we had great clarity, very nice details, good close-ups, nice colors and textures, but the colors are a bit burnt when the sun kicks in at the edges. So if you have the sun in your peripheral vision, you're bound to take some burnt shots with this phone. It feels like during the day it's below the Galaxy S6 Edge quality when taking pictures. This is an HDR, which comes in quite handy, but it lights the scenery a bit too much. Overall, it feels like the equal of the latest iPhones and the Huawei Mate 8 during the day, but also slightly below its predecessor somehow because of the burned shots. Now, when it comes to the capture we've taken with clouds, first of all, we have some indoor shots which were a bit hit and miss. Some of these cocktails look very nice close up, but some of them were blurry as we tried to focus perfectly and didn't succeed. This is the cloudy day I was mentioning, and I was slightly underwhelmed here. There are some blurry shots, there's some light fumbling here. The quality remains good when zooming in, but I've seen better than that. Textures are okay, exposure okay, colors okay, also white balance. But if you take a landscape shot and start zooming into the trees, you'll feel that you're missing your details from a 21 megapixel camera, for example. The panorama is quite generous and well taken. 23,984 pixels over 2144 pixels. And I cannot understand that layer of white that appears on top of some pictures out of nowhere, even though it was a cloudy day, so no room of sun to bother us. Realistic colors, excellent texture of metal in this close-up of a locket. And then it was time to perform some selfies. More colors here in case you want more. There are 300 shots to enjoy. As I said before, I've taken some selfies. The wind was really blowing, so you can excuse the hair. The texture of the skin was pretty realistic, I have to say. I appreciate that. There are many phones that can do realistic skin. However, the thing remains that the background was very blurry in those selfies, and that's a thing I noticed with many flagships, but not as bad as on this one, so I'm pretty disappointed by that aspect. I feel that the Galaxy S6, for example, took better selfies because everything felt better there, including the background, not only the skin. Okay, and we also have some ducks here, so regular picture, zoom level 1 and zoom level, the last of them, with quite a few details being lost. I have to mention, we are not biased and we're not blind. We had a look on the web at some other galleries taken with the Sony sensor version of the same phone, and frankly speaking, those pictures look better, so those with the Samsung version of the camera will be a bit disappointed, especially on a sunny day. However, the real power of the camera comes out to play during the night time, and then we have a series of night photos that totally impressed us. So that f1.7 aperture really works. We totally beat models like the LG G4. We can easily fight the Huawei Mate 8 that was a landmark for a week or two. We have excellent built-in texture here, some monumental buildings from the center of the town, with excellent lighting, excellent texture, and I find it hard-pressed to find any grainy or yellowish areas here, so impressive. And not only that, we put the phone to the ultimate test, and how we went to a concert. There was an IMX concert in Bucharest, and these are the shots we've taken. I feel they're magazine worthy, so a magazine of alternative music or rock music could easily use those. Keep in mind there was a lot of smoke machine smoke there, moving lights, strobe lights, lots of moving artists, so the phone really kept up, and there was a guy with a DSLR next to me being surprised by the quality of these shots. There was one in particular that looked fantastic. It's this one here. It's Chris Corner from IMX looking great on the stage in Bucharest. Okay, so as you can see, overall, while the phone may seem impressive on its own, when we compare the sunlight shots to the one from the previous year model, not so impressive. However, when it comes to low light, concerts and extreme conditions, it performs better than the predecessor. The big evolution happens in low light. Even Samsung admits that. They say the most fun things happen at night. They have a video commercial of that. Okay, time to analyze the videos. So we shot a lot of them, and we shot them in MP4, Full HD, 30 or 60 frames per second, 4K with a 49 megapixel bitrate. And the thing I noticed is that the camera cannot really take the wind. If it's a windy day, the microphones cannot handle it. However, during the concert in the club, they could handle the loud bass and loud music, so that's interesting. We have realistic colors. The background doesn't feel exactly to my liking when it comes to clarity. We also did a pretty nice hyperlapse, which I enjoyed. Now let's try and find it. So I'm guessing this is the 4K capture. Yes, obviously very crisp. Excellent stabilization, excellent colors. Okay, and once again trying to find that hyperlapse. This is the slow motion, if I remember well. And still looking for the hyperlapse. This is a 4K video, this is a stabilization video. So this is it, we found it. That's what the hyperlapse is all about. Very well stabilized cinematic video, basically moving time-lapse. We also tested stabilization, as I said before, and this is it, with good results. Usually I either say that it's a huge evolution or a huge letdown. It's not the case here. Stabilization is good, we're climbing stairs reasonably fast, I would say. No focus loss, good clarity and good stabilization. Brightness was also good. And when it comes to nighttime capture, well, what you saw so far was captured during the day, a day with clouds. This is captured during a day with sun. Excellent focusing here and great colors. But when the sun kicks in, there's a bit of burn going on. Now let's see what happens during the night. So we have these night shots, and this is a video shot at night. I must say that we beat the quality of the LG G4. It feels less artificial than the Huawei Mate 8, for example. and it's not much better than what we got on the iPhones, the last iPhones, at least during the day. During the night it's quite good, especially if you're going to a concert. And to avoid any YouTube problems, I'm going to show you a video but without sound, hopefully. So let's maybe pick one. Which one will it be? Let's try this one. This is IMX performing, a lot of smoke, a lot of movements, lots of lights, and still looks great. Conclusions about the camera: not the huge jump some people wanted from the Galaxy S6 Edge. However, the Sony version is a bit better, and in the end, when it comes to low light, this model has no rival, and very few phones can capture a concert as good as this model can. Now, when it comes to the web browsing, I'm using the stock, let's say stock, and by stock I mean TouchWiz browser from Samsung. I would call the speed reasonable. I've seen faster, but then again I've seen much slower. Feels very fluid to scroll in this browser. The keyboard has the advantage of the numeric row, and in case you had doubts about the browser quality, the benchmarks for the browser were excellent. So browser mark, very good score. SunSpider, excellent score. So theoretically this is an excellent way to browse the web. On the connectivity side of things, we're totally covered. We got an extra volume mode for your calls, for noisy areas. By the way, we have very loud calls, great noise cancelling, 4G LTE of the category 12-13. We have Wi-Fi 802.11 AB, G and AC with MIMO, Bluetooth 4.2 and NFC of course. There is also micro USB, there's GPS, and when it comes to Wi-Fi, we're pretty happy with the results here. We scored 26 Mbps in download and 26 in upload. Now it's time to talk about the battery. So we're dealing here with a phablet that has a 3600 mAh battery, a very big upgrade from the 2600 mAh battery of the S6 Edge. Now, as far as the video playback goes, I was blown away by this time. As you can see here, 15 hours and 15 minutes of continuous HD video playback in a loop. We basically beat all the Android phones we tested, minus the battery phones, and we totally beat the models like the iPhone 6s Plus and the Samsungs from last year. PC Mark was also a blast with a huge score, 9 hours and 17 minutes. Once again, we beat everything from the Galaxy Note 5, S6 Edge Plus and Huawei Mate 8. Charging is also quite okay, 1 hour and 33 minutes, it's excellent. However, the S6 Edge Plus still holds the record with 1 hour and 5 minutes. And I have to mention that there is wireless fast charging also supported, as well as the usual power saving features. We got the power saving mode, and we got the ultra power saving mode with this monochrome approach, and you can save battery by optimizing the power usage of these apps. Now it's time to analyze the OS, UI and applications. We're running on Marshmallow, and here we go, software info, Android 6.0.1 Marshmallow with the latest TouchWiz on top. The changes from the version we had last year aren't exactly huge. You may notice that we have a white background for the drop down area, and we have a pretty fluid interface. Flipboard is still here in one shape or the other. Of course, it's totally optional. We still have a split screen option we can activate from this area, and we can transfer text or photos from one window to the other. What else? We have the carousel based multitask that you already saw, and if you keep the home screen pressed, you can find the very nice widgets from Samsung. They're based on transparency and minimalism. Of course, you also have the stock ones from Android. Then we have themes, recommended ones, and a store to get even more. You can arrange the screen grid, and you can even disable the app drawer as far as I know. The UI looks nice. It holds those icons that people like to call squircles, square and circles at the same time, which is a new approach. Now in the settings area, you'll find options here that are your favorite ones, the ones you use the most and most often. Connectivity options and a smart manager, which keeps your battery, storage, security and RAM in check. Then we have sound and vibrations, notifications, do not disturb, display, which you already saw, edge screen, which you also saw, and advanced feature, one of the most interesting sections. So here we find the games area that includes Game Launcher, which is a new feature from Samsung for gamers. Well, Game Launcher includes a bunch of very useful features that I'll show you later, and then we have game tools that allow you to not receive alerts during games. You can lock the keys here, the capacitive ones that you will press by mistake during the gaming, minimize the game, take a screenshot and perform recording of video. You can even include your face with the front camera and do a playthrough, become the next PewDiePie if you want. Set the resolution from here, and I promised you game tools where they're here in the game launcher area. You can choose your game, you can save power, you can activate the do not disturb mode, and you can record, take a screenshot and other things like that. So gamers are covered with this feature. Back to those advanced features, we have one-handed operation. We can minimize the windows and do one-hand input with special smaller keyboards. There's pop-up view gesture, so if you're inside an app, you can minimize it easily by doing this gesture, making it smaller and moving it on the screen to perform your actions more easily. Then you can close it. Okay, we also have smart capture, palm swipe, direct call, smart stain, easy mute, which we already knew from the past years. We also have a pulse scanner at the back, in case you're wondering. It's still here, still pretty much a hit and miss experience. Showed us too big of a pulse when resting and too slow of a pulse when doing fitness, so not much of anything here. Other than that, it's time to talk about the fingerprint scanner. Screen lock is now set to not swipe. Let's try again. Let's set it to fingerprint. Okay, we must use a pin. And we're all done. Now, in order to unlock the device, we will have to press this fingerprint scanner, which for some reason took 3 tries to work. However, believe me, off camera it worked every time without a hitch. So, accurate fingerprint scanner, but I find the setup process quite long compared to ones I've seen on other handsets. Now, if you want to talk about apps, there are 38 of them pre-installed, not exactly bloatware, so at least Samsung got rid of some apps. We have these ones here: My Files, voice recorder, there's S Health, can measure your pulse, can measure your stress level and your oxygen level. We also have S Voice, Galaxy Apps and Internet. Then there's the Google Suite, pretty typical apps. Social, Microsoft apps, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneDrive, OneNote and Skype. Gear, Play Store, Facebook, Phone, Messages, Gallery, Contacts, S Planner, including the weather in the calendar, calculator, memo, the game launcher, and that's pretty much it. Okay, so we reached the end of the review. We covered the software, we covered the features and everything else there is to know. Time for the pros and cons for the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. On the pro side, obviously a superb design, a very bright screen, we got great performance here, a nice game launcher for the gamers. You can record your own play sessions with your face. Great acoustics, powerful hardware, excellent battery, great low light capture, photo and video. You saw that concert sample. Great optical image stabilization. Those are the pros. On the con side, well, the camera discrepancies between the Sony based version and the Samsung based version that are available out there. Then we have the fingerprint magnet. The back area is a bit of a fingerprint magnet. The pictures that are burnt by the sunlight are a big no-no. The behavior of the microphones in a windy day, and the video could be a bit better during the daytime. So overall, an excellent phone. People believe that the Galaxy S6 Edge could not be improved. Well, Galaxy S7 Edge proves that it can be improved. Priced between $750 and $800, free of contract, it brings a more refined design compared to the predecessor. It's basically a superlative in all sections, maybe minus the camera in some areas. It's hard to imagine a better Android phone at the moment. If you own a Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, there's no reason to switch, however, but if you own any other phone, you can easily switch to this one without having any regrets. Keep in mind, the battery is also fantastic and the design is great, and those are 2 things to remember from this review. So, if you have the Galaxy S6 Edge, no excuse to go to this one. If you have any other phone, buy this one. It's a very solid purchase. This is it from GSMDome.com. Hope you like this lengthy review. Bye bye.